In the far north of a vast valley, surrounded by ancient pine trees and silent mountains, lies a small climate research station. A simple place, isolated from the rest of the world, where the wind sweeps across the landscape as if carrying untold stories. It is there that Daniel works. For many years, he has observed the climate of this valley, recording snow patterns, temperature, and almost imperceptible changes in the landscape. His work seems technical at first glance, made up of sensors, instruments, and reports. But as time passes, he realizes that observing nature requires something beyond knowledge. It requires patience. Winter in this region is long. The snow arrives early and remains for months, covering trails, rivers, and even the sound of footsteps. During this period, Daniel spends much of his time alone at the station, surrounded by the silence of the mountains and the constant rhythm of the equipment that records the climate. Solitude is part of the work. At first, it seems heavy, but over time, the silence begins to reveal things that previously went unnoticed. Small movements emerge in the landscape. Almost invisible changes happen every day. Nature speaks slowly, and only those who linger long enough can hear. On a cold January morning, while walking along a frozen trail to check snow sensors scattered across the valley, Daniel notices something different on the white, untouched ground. Footprints. Clear marks drawn on the surface of the fresh snow. He approaches and observes carefully. They are not deer tracks, nor moose tracks. They are wolf tracks. The trail crosses the snowfield in a firm, silent line heading towards the distant forest. In that vast, seemingly empty landscape, those footprints bring a simple but powerful certainty. He is not alone there. In the following days, new tracks appear. Always near the station, but never too close. The animal seems to move calmly through the valley, as if observing the same territory from another point of view. Daniel begins to notice patterns. The footprints appear at dawn or shortly before dusk. Sometimes they cross open fields. Other times they disappear among the pine trees. It's as if two silent observers shared that place. The man who studies the climate and the animal that knows every change in the land. Over time, Daniel begins to walk more through the valley, not to look for the wolf, but to better understand the place where it lives. He begins to notice details previously ignored: the wind that draws delicate waves in the snow, the trees that always lean in the same direction, the river ice that slowly begins to change shape with the sunlight. The landscape seems to breathe through the seasons. And then, on a clear morning, Daniel climbs to the top of a hill that dominates the entire valley. It is there that he finally sees the wolf. The animal stands on a rock, gazing at the horizon. The wind blows through its thick fur as it remains motionless, attentive to the world around it. For a brief moment, two different worlds share the same silence: the researcher observing nature and the creature that lives entirely within it. At that moment, Daniel understands something that no graph or report could explain. The wolf is not just in that valley, it is part of it, just like the wind, just like the snow, just like the mountains that seem eternal. Nature doesn't work in straight lines or simple formulas. It exists in slow, silent, and persistent cycles. As the months pass, winter begins to give way to a slightly warmer light. Small signs of change appear in the valley. The snow slowly transforms. The river ice begins to breathe again. The shadows shift position. Daniel continues his work, recording data and tracking each transformation. But now he observes the world around him with different eyes. Before, he only saw numbers. Now he sees stories unfolding every day. At times, new footprints appear in the snow, always discreet, always a reminder that this valley was never empty. And then comes the moment to leave. The station will be automated. Sensors and satellites will continue recording the data that Daniel has studied for so many years. On his last walk before leaving, he climbs again to the highest hill. The wind remains the same. The mountains remain silent. And there, crossing the fresh snow, are the footprints again. Daniel observes the trail that leads towards the forest. He raises his gaze to the horizon and perceives something simple yet profound. Nature continues its path even when no one is watching. The wind will continue to cross the valley, the snow will return in the coming winters, and somewhere among the pine trees, a wolf will continue walking along invisible trails. Because some presences don't exist to be seen all the time. They exist to remind us that the world is bigger than our own journey. And sometimes, all we need to do is stop for a moment, listen to the silence, and learn to walk in step with nature.